Welcome to Hillside Farm. My name is Ruth McKinney, and we have a new series. It's the late winter, early spring, which is really kind of fun. We're ushering out winter and we're bringing in spring. So in this series, we're going to have Eileen, who you've met before, who's an incredible gardener, sharing some things with us. And then I'll have some other friends here making some fantastic recipes. And finally, we're going to have conversations about what it means to host, looking forward into our upcoming year. I hope you join us. Welcome to Hillside Farm. My name is Ruth McKinney, and it's so much fun to have you here. We're in the middle of doing the close of winter. This is the series of kind of the closing of winter, and you can see spring out in the distant future, but it's not very far away. So we're doing lots of fun things in this series, one of which is one of my family's very favorite soups. It's a sausage and kale soup. And before you say, oh, no, there's kale, my husband and my son won't touch kale. They will not have a salad that has a kale. They will not, they hate kale that much. This soup, I'll give you a little backstory. When we were on our Christmas vacation out in Driggs, I divided everyone in the house up with a partner, and each night a different partnership made dinner. Well, one of the nights my daughter and I think it was my youngest son, made sausage and kale soup, and nobody in our family had had it yet. And they had multiplied the recipe thinking they'd have enough for a couple of days or at least for lunch the next day. Every person had at least 2 bowls. Everyone loved it that much, including my husband and my son. So I promise you're gonna love it. It even has tortellini in it. It's really fantastic. So given this, here we go. You're gonna start out with 2 cups of very, just kind of chop up your kale. You don't want a giant piece of kale in your soup. Now, what I have already going is, back here, what I've done is I've taken a pound of sweet Italian sausage. You can do Italian sausage, the mild or the sweet, or you can do hot, depending on what you prefer. Take each one out and take the casing off. It's not that hard. Take a knife and go along the casing of it and then just flip it inside out. Go ahead and brown it, which is what I've done over here, and chop it up so it's kind of ground, like a ground beef. And add to this, we're gonna add to this a small onion that's been diced. Here we go. I diced a little bit extra, but I'm gonna add that. We're gonna cook this, you want your onions translucent. Oh my gosh, this soup is so good. So if we have any end of season, snow squalls, I promise you're gonna love this. All right, so while this cooks up, I'm gonna finish dicing the kale. Hopefully that gets it all. Again, you can also use spinach if you don't wanna use the kale, but kale's really healthy for you, and it does cook down. You don't even notice the difference. But again, use spinach if you prefer that. All right, and it's not a broth soup, it's a cream soup. So here we go. Here we've got our 3 cheese tortellini, that'll be ready to go. So right now, I think basically the sausage has cooked. It's not pink anymore. And the onion has got that translucent look. Oh, this is such good soup. And here's what I would recommend that you even do, because if you want to freeze some of it, don't initially put the tortellini in it. You freeze the soup mixture with the sausage and the kale, and then make this separately, because this over time continues to absorb all the broth, and you have to keep adding broth just to make it, you know, soup again. All right, here we go. I'm gonna add to this 3 cloves of garlic that have been minced. I'm gonna put that in there. Just kind of stir that. You don't want to burn your garlic. And you're going to add 3 tablespoons of flour. And what this flour is going to do, it's a thickener. 3 tablespoons. And just incorporate this so it kind of gets rid of that starchy taste. If it's really greasy in there when you've cooked the sausage, you drain it. Mine had very little, so it wasn't a big deal. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and add a teaspoon of dried basil, a half a teaspoon of oregano, which is right here. I'm gonna kind of eye it. A teaspoon of hot sauce. A pinch of cayenne. You don't even need to use cayenne if you don't want to. So I'm just going to use a little dash. A pinch of red pepper. And again, if you want more red pepper, you can add more red pepper. A half a teaspoon of mustard powder. Mix this up. And here's where we're going to add 5 cups of, no, before we do that, we're going to add a cup of heavy whipping cream. So the heavy whipping cream and the flour are going to make, a roux, and it's going to thicken the whole sauce. Now we're going to have 5 cups of chicken broth, and in each one of these is 4 cups. So we're going to add, 1 whole container of chicken broth and another cup. Again, if it's too thick, you can add more broth. And stir this up. And we're going to add the kale. You really get to just dump everything in here. And you're going to leave this to simmer for, 30 minutes. It'll be ready to, oh, the main ingredient. Here we go. The tortellini. Get a 10-ounce package of tortellini. I get the cheese tortellini. And pour that in there. If your kids see noodles, you win every time. I might end up adding a little bit more chicken broth because I think I added a little too much flour. So this is going to simmer with the lid on 20 or 25 minutes. Serve it with huge, chunky, crispy bread. What also I've done before is throw part of a rind of Parmesan in it, and it just gets that flavor. I'm just going to add a little bit. This is a no-fail soup for your house, and you are going to absolutely love it. I think I mentioned this before. If you decide to freeze it, maybe freeze it separately. I guess it doesn't matter because it stops incorporating the juices once it's frozen anyway. But if you're going to eat this over a couple of days, you might want to serve your noodles separate, like throw the noodles in the bowl and then put the soup on top of that, because overnight those noodles are going to absorb all of the liquid and you're going to need to add more broth. But again, it doesn't matter if you're eating it all in one sitting. It doesn't matter anyway. You're going to love it. So It's almost done, just another couple of minutes. Okay, this soup is done. It takes no time. It will please everybody in your house. Finish it off with a little grate of more Parmesan cheese. Again, crusty bread, maybe a salad, and people will be very happy. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you have a great day.